Welcome to the program, Alan Danziger and Ray Spivey. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great.
Super.
Movie's out. We're very happy.
Fantastic. Yes, and that movie, of course, is the Weedhacker Massacre. It's now available on digital platforms for people to check out. Ray, for people who haven't heard about the film yet, what is the movie all about?
Well, it's kind of Alan's original idea. We kind of co-created it, but if you basically had to say it's an homage to all of our old favorite horror movies, going back to Chainsaw and everything like that. And a lot of those movies, they have gone back and made a lot of sequels and rewrites. And we have an independent film crew that decides to go back to the site of the original murders that happened 10 years ago to make their sequel, and things kind of go awry from bad acting, bad filmmaking,
Bad
bounced
everything.
checks, yeah, bad everything. And the murderer has seemingly returned. So it's actually a comedy, believe it or not, and we've just had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, and it's a horror comedy that Alan, I think you can also attest to that it's kind of the what if. What if Jerry survived and him and Leatherface, had a life together?
You are correct, and I think that's part of the deal, is that the head of hair that I had back then, people would say it could stop a bullet.
It's yeah, the hair in the 70s is unique and definitely I could see the old phrase like when I was growing up, you have a helmet of hair. In this case, literally
I
as
qualified for that.
yeah,
For that
as
He's
does
pretty
the
sure he's pretty sure the Simpsons stole Disco Stew from him.
I can see it. I can see it.
yeah, that's totally fair. You should get a lawyer and talk about that, and see what you could do.
I got a lawyer. I'm working on a pro bono thing for another thing I'll get into
Yo.
later.
Oh, I think I know what that thing is, sir. A certain line. We'll talk about that. Definitely.
All right.
Oh my God. But yeah, this film, it's a parody, it's a send up, it sends up a bunch of horror films. When you guys put the script together and then when it went to actually filming on set, were there changes made from script to screen? Like, was there like when you guys were making it on set, were people like, hey, why don't we put in a joke in here about this?
Sure. We always have that. I try to give the actors the liberty to, yeah, if you can make the joke better or do anything. Bobby Grace, who plays our ill-fated director, Renee Carpenter, came up with some great lines. And of course, Bobby's a veteran of indie film, and she knows those things that have gone foobar at various indie sets. And she did some great stuff. But overall, it kind of stayed the same. And I think the great thing, we had such a great cast and we just kind of let them go with it. And they stayed kind of fairly true to the script, though.
I was just wondering about your reaction to being on set, Alan, because obviously like some of this is based off of, some, some reinterpretation of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And obviously you were there back then and are seeing this. Did it bring up a lot of memories? Like, between the writing itself, obviously it would have brought up some memories, but like being on set and kind of being in similar type situations and seeing that play out?
Yeah, only this time it was enjoyable. I mean, back then, although be honest, I had the time of my life, but it was brutal. I was never. I'm not an actor, and you see some of the reviews of me, you'll understand that. But I had lucked out, and I met Toby Hooper in a social setting, and I was the couple about the first movie that I was in was Eggshells, and it was about a couple named David and Amy, and they shot some scenes with me, and they kept adding stuff. So that's how I got into it. But Chainsaw was like 100 degrees driving in that van with the windows up, and it was awful. Plus that house where the my where I get whacked. Where you had rotting bones, you had rotting meat, you had rotting everything. So this was a walk in the park.
No, that Leatherface hadn't changed his costume in weeks.
No, as I've said, all the Febreze in the nation couldn't take the stench out of that. And I still am haunted by that. I still have nightmares about that smell.
Oh, so just nice smells on this set is basically what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Right, right.
Oh my God. Now, I gotta ask though, how much of the budget, like, what was there more allocation of the budget for weed or hair? Because there's a lot of both in this movie.
That's a great question.
Both.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy on both. One of the things that's interesting is if you try to buy fake marijuana on eBay, it's actually kind of expensive. And one day I had left home, went to the set, and I had forgotten it. It was like a 45-minute drive to get back home. And I was talking to our director, Jody, about it. And Jody says, if we were to take up a collection from the crew, I'm sure you'd get all you wanted.
Yeah, of course, of course. And then of course those wigs, like my God, if like that the thick black hair everywhere, it seemed like that seems like, a mess waiting to happen, especially with all the little wig voodoo dolls as well. So,
Yeah, Little Willie, he was quite a character.
Yeah, I was noticing in the credits at the end the locations for where you guys filmed. A lot of them are in and around the same area as the original Texas Chainsaw. Were there any double up sites, or is it just because as I was looking at it, I was like, oh, this really looks similar in a lot of
Yeah.
places. But of course, that could just be me not being from Texas and thinking Texas all looks the same, right? So I was just curious
Yeah,
about that.
but that's a great observation. They all really were very similar, and we filmed kind of not exact locations, but
Right.
the terrain looked the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's some that was shot in Bastrop, and my favorite scene in Chainsaw is at the gas station, and that's in Bastrop. So, except the location for a lot of it was beautiful, beautiful locations that Ray and Jody came up with, and again, the cast had they were just wonderful people. They were wonderful to me, and at the end of the movie, the people were crying. They didn't want to go home. They didn't want the movie to end.
They may still be out there. I don't know.
They could be. That's a lot different than Chainsaw, you know.
I'm getting the sense here, Alan, that there's still a lot of PTSD from that shoot back in the day. By the way you're comparing it to this film, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Well, you took your son to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, when the movie came out, I just took my son to just see the coming attraction, just to see his dad. If I was in it, and this is 50 years later, he's still in weekly therapy. So what does that tell you?
well, it must be a good payback that all these years later, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has such a huge fan following, and there's people, as you've probably met tons and tons of people who have thanked you for being a part of their favorite film.
No question, and it's funny. Tomorrow I fly to North Carolina. I'll be at a theater along with Britton Buchanan, who I met, who was runner up on The Voice, and he did the music. He did the songs, the Weedhacker Willie and Hammer to the Head. Great song. So I'll be with him on Wednesday. I fly back, and then I'll be in Kingsland Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for a chainsaw reunion at what is now called Hooper's. The restaurant homage to Toby.
The actual house.
The actual house that they moved from Round Rock out there. And so I'm looking forward to seeing some of the cast members that are still alive and that were not in diapers or drooling at this point.
But you also last year went to London, Japan, and he gets these kids that are 6 and 7, and they know Chainsaw inside and out. It's just blowing us away.
And that's very troubling to me to find that out.
Yeah, I know. I remember. Well, it's hard for me to say that I remember the very first time I saw a Texas Chainsaw Massacre because the copy that I saw was like the infamously super black, except for the opening scenes and the closing scenes. But I finally got to see a remastered version of it, a number of years later. And it is one of those films, like that just speaks to a lot of people, right? Like whether they're horror fans or not. It's got that gigantic
funny
cult
thing,
following.
I was in Tokyo with Grandpa John Dugan and my nephew, and we went to this theater that turned out to be the smallest theater in Tokyo. It seats 20 people. And we get to the train stop, and I don't know where we're going. And this lovely Japanese lady comes right up to me, says, "I know who you are. I'll take you right to the theater." And my nephew, he was so freaked out. He couldn't believe it. But we had a great time there, and John and I refer to us as the Cheech and Chong of horror. And so we had really a good crowd. The crowd was packed. They gave us a standing ovation. There were no chairs, so they were standing, but an ovation is an ovation. And when I told my stories, the translator, as he said it, people laughed at the same place. So,
Yeah.
funny is funny no matter where you are.
Of course, no,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, yeah, and again, funny is funny, and that this, of course, is a horror comedy, which does at the end leave an opening for a sequel. A sequel is teased that would take more of a trip into the courtroom realm. So, would we be looking at possibly a courtroom horror comedy if that was to take place?
If this all goes well, that'd be great. We're just seemingly becoming a more litigious society, don't you think? And
True,
and we
yeah.
thought, well, let's go there. But yeah, we've written some notes on it and had a few lunches and laughed about it. And I think it would definitely get off to a great start in the courtroom and move on. Yeah.
There we go.
That's awesome. Ray, like, how could you guys just talk about like how you guys ended up meeting and becoming friends to like to launch this project? Because it just seems like that was also a very interesting story.
Well, we are still friends, right? I just want to be sure.
At this
Yeah,
moment,
At
yes.
this moment in time, yes, yes. Well, we've known each other for about 5 years, and it turns out his chiropractor was treating my mother and mentioned that he knew this movie star, and you, we just got together, right? And we've hit it off since then.
Yeah, and then Ray said, I've got this movie called Storage Locker that I'm working on. I'd like to write a scene for you to be in. So he basically took me off of that heap of whatever happened to these one-hit wonders. And he wrote the scene, and I got through it and had a great time. And then we've gone to different things to talk about movies, and we just kicked around some ideas about my character, and he took it from there, and it just escalated into some crazy funny things. And as I say in this movie, once you stop laughing, you'll start screaming.
But we had a lot of fun developing his character because we used an old nickname of his that your friend came up with.
Yeah, I had a friend, wonderful guy. His name was Ralph McElroy. He's passed on, and he couldn't pronounce my name. So every time he saw me, he kept saying, "Here comes Alan Dancing Shoes," and so that is now my character, Sheriff Dancing Shoes, as you see on this mug, which is available for purchase.
It's not, yeah.
But
I
let's
say
see.
it for him as a joke, but
Yeah.
he's going to market everything. So yeah.
There you go. Sheriff Dancing Shoes. He has some pivotal roles in the film for Sheriff Dancing Shoes. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it's fun to, I think it's always fun to take a look at something like Texas and some of the other, horror films, and we've seen some other ones that have been translated into inspiration for horror comedies like this, and I always think it's fun to do that because, as much as we love the original versions, those graphic, gory, serious takes, there is something to be said about having some fun with what is ostensibly sometimes a ridiculous premise. Like there's just so many ridiculous things that take place, and in the film itself, like even like the murders and how that all takes place, that's ridiculous. But then, as you guys put it in the film, like film making a movie, like the crew comes in to make a movie about this situation that is not 100% accurate. It's all about the money. People just start leaving. It's like all of those things that are, and I'm sure you can speak a lot to this one, Ray. Indie film. This is like part and parcel. This is like everything. I'm assuming this is a lot of fertile ground from your experiences.
And also, I was going to say that I also do the voiceover, as does Ed Neal in Cannibal Comedian, which is also an homage to Texas
Right.
Chainsaw Massacre.
But you're here today to talk about Weedhacker,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, you go on these sets, and of course, money is the hardest thing for these young filmmakers. They've got to tap into their parents and anything they can do in GoFundMe campaigns, and even then, they get out there and they find out it's really not enough. And sometimes you have certain actors you want to bring in that are going to require way more salary than you have budgeted and things like that. So we just thought we'd have a little fun with that aspect of it. And how could we turn this lack of funds into a reason as to why people are disappearing off the set, and nobody's questioning that, maybe they got killed and kidnapped or something like that. So it turned into a fun gag with that as well. But yeah, indie film has just got so many things. Sadly, a lot of folks don't get a chance to actually be on a set and experience just the crazy things you have to do to get that film made. And food is another big thing. We were laughing until we started crying when we got the food budget for this, because it's turned out to be a big movie with lots of hungry young people, and they can sure eat. But I've heard of sets where for 2 weeks all they got was ramen every meal. But that's the way they were able to get it through. So
the thing is that fortunately at I'm 83 now, and I honestly have all the money I could ever want, unless I need to buy something.
but we really did this film based on all the residuals you had off a chainsaw, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, well, the real massacre took place after that movie came out, because, as you know, the distributors were mafia. So when I first got, I think, my first royalty check, I could go to McDonald's, and there was something wrong with this picture.
Yeah, there you go. And you wouldn't be able to go to McDonald's now with that money.
No.
Good point. No.
Maybe a packet of ketchup or something. That'd be about
pretty
it.
much. Pretty much. What's before we go here, of course, yes, the Weedhacker Massacre, tons of fun. Of course, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, legendary. But as you mentioned earlier, you were in a film called Eggshells. Have you talked to Robert De Niro at all about the fact that he copped your line?
No, but I've been trying to see if we could get something pro bono, Perry Como, just plain Bono, any Bono at this point, Sonny Bono, but he's gone. So no, but I know that they had, I think the fellow's name that wrote Taxi Driver was, I think, Paul, or Jonathan Schrader, I think, or Paul
Schrader.
I think, Paul, he had to have seen that movie.
But in the hotel room, they're showing a scene from Chainsaw on the TV there with De Niro.
It's on the marquee. There's something having to do with Texas Chainsaw is on the marquee.
So yeah.
So that's why I'm saying he had to know, but what am I going to do?
De Niro's not returning your calls.
He's not returning my calls, my texts, anything.
He definitely saw that scene where you said, "Are you talking to me?" But
he's great. I love the guy, so it's okay.
There you go. There you go. Water under the bridge. Fantastic. All right. Well, of course, as we said, Weedhacker Massacre is available on digital platforms for people to check out. I want to thank you both for talking with us today. I look forward to whatever happens with the Weedhacker Massacre in possibly future films.
Well, if we do the court scene, we could bring you two in. We need 2 more guilty types, so that'd be great.
There you go. Nothing says guilty like this face. Definitely.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, it's all written. It's all written.
Thank you, guys. It was
Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
We had a great time.
Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care.